Warning, 30 Screams or Less may contain spoilers about movies that have recently been released. If you haven't seen the movie, go watch it, come back, and enjoy the show. Or, if you don't want to waste your time watching the movie and rather have two random horror dudes watch it for you, we got you covered as well. Welcome everyone to 30 Screams or Less, a horror movie podcast where we review horror movies in 30 minutes or less. Today's movie we're going to be talking about is Trap, as opposed to The Mousetrap. It's written and directed by M. Night Shyamalan Ding Dong. M. Night Shyamalan. Starring Josh Hartnett, Ariel Donoghue, and Saleka Shyamalan. The plot of this movie is a father and his teen daughter attend a pop concert only to realize they've entered the center of a dark and sinister event. But before we get into it, Corey, last night I was looking in the mirror and you know what? My beard was looking gnarly. And I said to myself, I can't look like this. I got to do something. So I decided to break out Beard Octane's beard wash and conditioner along with their beard oil. And dude, my beard looked amazing. I'm glad you turned me on to Beard Octane.
Yeah, of course. Like I said, I've been using their products for years and I can vouch for them. And whether you're pounding IPAs or chopping wood, you got to look your best. Visit beardoctane.com and use the code 30screams10 at checkout for a 10% discount. It helps us. And like I said, the products are absolutely incredible. They're local too. They're based out of Connecticut. So help them out and support small businesses. We're not just slinging beard grooming supplies. We've been using them for a while.
Yeah, we have. 30 Screams or Less starts now. Corey, what did you think of Trap?
Steve, I love this movie a lot. Josh Hartnett, I never expected him to play a character, of this type as well as he did, but he's fucking awesome as a crazy serial killer. I know we'll go into this more, but the rating, the PG-13 rating, I think hurt it a lot, but they definitely made up for it in the third act. Everything in the third act was so fucked in the last part. And I think Shyamalan and Ding Dong just made this movie to get people to listen to his daughter's music, but I honestly don't know. But you were saying that he pays for all of his movies out of his own pocket, so he can cast whoever the fuck he wants.
Yeah, let him do his thing. He's been funding a lot of his movies since The Visit. So from then on, yeah, he's been like the primary funder for his movies, which is pretty awesome. Like big risk, maybe big reward type idea. If the movie does really well and he doesn't put in a shit ton of money, that's a pretty solid investment back to him. So it's a smart idea. It's a bold play though, let me tell you, because if you fucking bomb a movie and you dish out like $1 million, $2 million, whatever, that hurts. That's gotta hurt.
Speaking of money, so we're talking briefly earlier, the new Beetlejuice movie, I saw that on Friday. Did you know what the budget of that was?
245 million.
Dude, apparently it was over 100 million.
Okay, that sounds about accurate.
Really? I thought that was a lot.
Honestly, that might be on the low end. Think about it. You have Michael Keaton, and then you have
Catherine O'Hara, Jenna Ortega.
Yep. Big money still. Well, at this point, I don't know how big Jenna Ortega is money-wise, but I know there's got to be some serious money with Michael Keaton.
Oh, yeah. And I was listening to a podcast with him, and he was like, it took 36 years for the second movie to come out because him and Tim Burton just couldn't agree on a sequel or a script.
Wow.
So, and then they got a massive budget for it.
Good for them.
But yeah, I'm curious what the budget of the Trap was. I'm gonna Google that while you talk.
Yeah, look it up. So I love this movie too. I thought it was great. I thought Josh Hartnett as a serial killer, same thing. He was like textbook serial killer in this movie. Very family oriented, all smiles. You couldn't tell he was a serial killer if you fucking approached him. He just seemed like your normal guy. And that's what these serial killers are. They're all these normal guys and you just wouldn't expect it. Like I could just meet a guy on it could be my neighbor, right? And he's bringing out the garbage and he's like, "Oh, hey, good morning. How are you?" Little do I know, he's probably got 20 people buried below his house. And that's what it is for these serial killers. They're so smart, like two sides of them. It's wild, man. And I thought that Josh Hartnett conveyed that really well in this movie. So I never thought I'd see him play this kind of role. I mean, we used to see him play a lot of rom-com type roles, like 40 Days and 40 Nights or something like that.
That's just it. Like,
yeah,
you would have never expected him to do a movie like this. And granted, it's PG-13, but I would have loved to see like the brutality, the character, because this dude's got someone trapped in his basement the whole time.
Yeah.
You know, he's been torturing this guy in his own fucking basement.
Yeah, we missed out. Like, that's the only thing that really like bummed me out about this movie is that there was a prime opportunity for at least a little flashback mayhem to happen, right? To just show his kind of process of what he does to these bodies. Obviously, we got a glimpse of the guy in the basement and he's getting gassed to death and he dies that way. But it would have been nice to see the overall approach that he takes to dispose of the body and shit like that, which he's called the Butcher. And his thing is like he cuts everyone up into pieces and just puts them on display at some public place. And when he was in the room and he just like he snuck his way into that back room where the employees hang out. It's like the employees lounge. They had all the cops in there doing their little thing.
That was so cool.
That was really cool. Little do they know, like they're looking for him and he's literally right there. He's like, oh, I'm just getting the coffee. And he knows what's up.
He knows what's up. And the cop even comes up to him and he's like, hey, where do you guys keep your sugar?
No idea. See, he blending in like in plain sight. That's how they are. It's wild.
Yeah, he did awesome because like the first, I think this happened before that when he went into that concession where the fry-later was.
Oh, good scene.
And he puts, was it bottles of fry oil inside the fry-later?
I think so. And the shit exploded all over a girl. And dude, burns everywhere, glass. So you saw a little bit of the aftermath, but it was kind of from a distance. So you couldn't really see a lot of the mayhem happening. And I think this movie really needed to up the violence a little bit. Obviously, you can't be going crazy violent in this arena show because that's going to like bring way too much attention. His idea was just to get the hell out of there as quietly as possible.
I got a kick out of this, though, because obviously Saleka Shyamalan is a musician, but having gone to a couple Taylor Swift concerts myself, her live shows are identical.
Really?
Meaning, did you notice the wristbands that the people in the crowd were wearing?
Yes.
So those pulsate to the beat of the music.
Oh, that's cool.
Taylor Swift does that at all her concerts. She came up with it.
Wow. What an idea.
So
that's wild.
But it seemed the same way. Like you have all these like teenage girls just like screaming and being excited for their favorite artist, which is awesome. But yeah, I feel like they took a lot of that from a Taylor Swift concert.
Yeah. And actually, I'm going to kind of go sidebar on that because like I want to talk a little bit about the plot of this movie. So I like the idea that they told us he was a serial killer, but it kind of would have been nice if he wanted to do his typical M. Night Shyamalan ding dong twist. If the whole time you don't realize he is the serial killer that they're looking for, and then you actually find out later on in the movie that he is the one that's actually butchering everyone.
It would have been, it certainly would have been a cool twist, but they like from the very first trailer, like they told us who he was. Yeah,
which is completely unique. I don't think I've seen a movie where the main character is the serial killer the whole time, other than let's say, this maybe is completely different realm is the biopic or like the whole series for Jeffrey Dahmer. Obviously he's the main focus and everything's like about him, but this is more of an actual movie as opposed to anything that's a biopic or anything like that. So I don't know of any movies that are kind of more realistic serial killer like this. And this is definitely a realm that I don't think M. Night Shyamalan has really done before with serial killers. That's not really his thing.
It really isn't. And like, M. Night Shyamalan is known for the big twists. You know, there's an M. Night Shyamalan twist in pretty much everything he does. You know, what is it? Signs was one of them.
Yep.
Signs was one of his most popular. Sixth Sense. He has a new one. I haven't watched it yet. The Watchers. Or is a producer on it? But
I haven't seen that. But I did see Knock at the Cabin, which I liked.
That's the one with Batista, right?
Yeah.
I have not watched that one yet.
It's good. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I'm not going to lie to you. I haven't watched it yet because it's an M. Night Shyamalan movie.
Oh, jeez. It's a good one. It's a good watch. Batista kills it. He's been killing it in movies, man. He's just, what he's been doing lately, he has range. We've talked about this, about his range as an actor.
Who do you think is the best wrestler turned actor?
Batista, hands down.
Okay. That's fair, because I probably would have said the same thing, or John Cena.
I mean, The Rock is great and all, but I think
he plays the same character.
Yes, he plays the same character where it's like this big action guy, and he does his comedy as well. So it's like he goes back and forth between those two. He doesn't really do anything dramatic. So that's the difference. Batista is really stretching his chops. He's doing the dramatic roles. He's doing horror. He's doing action. He's just a comedy as well. He's all over the place. He's really trying to show like that he can do more than just be a big action star.
Yeah, more props to him for that for sure. Because you usually get an actor or an actress that finds something they're good at and only takes roles in that genre, like Melissa McCarthy, for example.
Oh God, yeah, that's one for sure. She's just nothing but comedies. Nothing really serious or dramatic. I like when actors really kind of stretch out and try to do their own thing and become like dramatic actors or something, right? Like Jim Carrey, he was a comedic actor and then he turned out to be a really good like dramatic actor. And, I think a lot of comedians actually can bridge that gap pretty well. And I don't know why, but for some reason they're pretty good at like Robin Williams. He became a pretty good dramatic actor too.
Has Jim Carrey ever done a horror role?
Oh, good question.
Dr. Robotnik doesn't count.
No, we're not counting that. We can talk about maybe the number 23, but I don't think that's more psychological horror or just thriller. But other than that, I don't think he's really done any horror movies.
Yeah, I'm looking right now. The number 23 is probably the closest he got.
I'd say that's...
And he's never going to do anything again except Dr. Robotnik, he said.
Good for him. Whatever. It's fun, I'm sure. He gets to wear a big mustache.
And he plays his own dad.
Yeah, there you go.
Really, perfect. I'm looking at his IMDb right now, and I do not see anything about a horror a role that he played.
Yeah,
it's wild.
I don't think so. Yeah.
Okay.
So I obviously would have liked to seen, well, actually, it could have gone either way because the third act in this movie is fucking bonkers. It's great. It is absolutely awesome, awesome, awesome. I loved it.
And it's crazy, too, because, like, in the trailers, the way this whole film was promoted was the whole thing took place inside of a concert.
Yeah.
But the best part of this movie is when they leave the concert.
Exactly. This whole third act is bonkers, but they can't show any of that third act in the trailer. It's too much because it's so different. It's like such a pivotal point in the movie where Lady Raven is talking to Cooper. Cooper is the serial killer. So the two of them are talking together because Cooper gave the impression to Lady Raven that his daughter, Riley, is dying of cancer. And the reason this was brought up earlier is that so she could go up on stage with Lady Raven and they could dance. And he kind of just worked his way in and he's trying to get the hell out of there with as least resistance as possible by going backstage. So he tells her that he's the serial killer that everyone's looking for. And he shows the guy that's on the phone that's in the basement getting fucking gassed to death. And he's like, I can push the button right now and this guy will die immediately, or you can get me and my daughter out of here safely. And that's the point where that's the third act, in my opinion, where it starts and where it really gets fucking bonkers.
Yeah, because at this point, his family finds out who he is.
Yeah. Oh man, that was nuts.
That was tense too. The limo ride.
Oh, man. Yeah, because the daughter has no idea. And Lady Raven, she's fucking in complete and utter shock. And she knows she has like the upper hand, though, a little bit. But there was a couple things that confused me about this part. No bodyguards at all.
Yeah.
That's bold. If you're going to be a superstar of that size, you got to have some bodyguards. All she had was a driver. And they go to Cooper's house and she goes in with them, introduces herself to the family. The family has no idea. Obviously, we're skipping way ahead into this movie.
That's okay because we don't want to spoil it all.
Yeah, honestly, you don't want to spoil it because this is a fun movie to watch. It's very cool. So Lady Raven's in the house talking to the family and it's like the mother, daughter, son, Cooper, and just your all-American family. Everything looks nice. Everything's perfect. They have a piano. They're hanging out together. It's all a good time. They're about to have dinner. And Lady Raven knows what the hell's going on. She knows that he's the serial killer, and she's doing everything that she can to basically try to save that guy that's in a basement. Not the basement at the house, but just at one of his safe houses. And it's important we note the safe house because that's how they found a receipt for the concert. And that's why they were at the concert. That was the turning point where we found out why they were even there, why they were able to realize that, okay, the butchers are going to be here. We have to stop them. And I'm going to get to the ginormous plot hole with that.
You mentioned that, so I'm curious to hear about this.
Yes. Okay. So this scene, Lady Raven, she's sitting at the piano playing, and she goes, "We should take a selfie together." And she takes Cooper's phone and takes a selfie, and then she goes, "Oh, I'll be right back." She runs into the bathroom and she goes live with her phone, telling people that she's looking for this particular type of place, like a lion, and blah, all these things, giving clues to her fans. Obviously, when you're a superstar like that, you go live, you already have thousands of people watching you. And so she was using her audience as a tool to find this person, find this like red door where this guy is. And, they were able to get the cops there and save him. Meanwhile, she's in the bathroom and Cooper's trying to smash the door in. And then she yells out that Cooper's the butcher. And then you hear a bunch of shit going down, silence. And I'm like, oh, did he just fucking kill his whole family?
Yep.
That's immediately what I thought. Yeah, that's what it sounded like. So I thought he killed his whole entire family, and he breaks his way in. And obviously he takes her and he puts his finger like on her shoulder. He's like, what did he say? He's like, "You're going to get me out of here. And we're going to, we're going to go somewhere, whatever." And this was cool too. As he's leaving, and this is why serial killers are so like methodical, or just like the idea of why they're so methodical. Like before he left, he fixed the towel on the hanger just to kind of make it line up. They're so methodical. Everything needs to be their way in a certain sense. It has to be like this kind of life, this kind of perfect. It's wild. They're wild, man. I've always like been fascinated by serial killers. I know, I'm fucking nuts.
No, I totally understand, because like you have people like, as you said before, Jeffrey Dahmer, you have this guy, you had John Wayne Gacy, just to name a few, but those guys, they were smart.
Mm-hmm.
They did this stuff for so long and they never got caught.
Yeah. They're
because
usually
like you said, they're methodical.
Yep. Very methodical, usually highly intelligent, like IQs in like the 130s, 140s, up there, right? They could be scientists, doctors, anything like that. Some of them are. Some of them are actually upstanding citizens in the community, and no one knows the wiser.
Like you had Ed Gein and even the Zodiac killer, who they never found out who it was.
Blows my mind, by the way.
Because he was that good.
Yeah, that blows my mind that they could never find him. There was like witnesses and everything, and they just could never find him. They could never like really crack the code.
Wasn't there like a kid recently that came out and said like Zodiac was his uncle or something?
Yeah, someone said that recently, but you have to take it with a grain of salt, because they had nothing really for evidence other than the fact that these people died and that they were shot. That's all they have to go on, or maybe some guy in a hood, which if someone's walking around in a fucking hood like that, man, you would think people would go, it's a little suspicious. Different age though,
Holy shit. I'm looking at like the most popular serial killers of all time. Mm-hmm. Have you ever heard of Pedro Lopez?
Yeah, I believe so.
So for the listeners, one of the world's most prolific serial killers might still be out there. Pedro Lopez is linked to more than 300 murders in his native Colombia and in Ecuador and Peru. At least one-third of those murders were tribal women. After Lopez's arrest in 1980, police found the graves of more than 50 of his preteen victims.
Oof.
He was later convicted of murdering 110 girls in Ecuador and confessed to 240 more murders in Colombia and Peru.
Oh my God.
The monster of the Andes didn't even spend 20 years in prison, as he was released in 1998 for good behavior.
Whoa!
More than 20 years since, his whereabouts remain unknown.
Wow. Dude, can you imagine just killing 300 people and you just go to jail for 20 years? Oh my God.
You do that shit here and you're gone. Either you get fucking zapped, or actually we don't do that anymore. We give the injection, or we just throw you in there to rot away.
Yeah.
And get good meals and have a place to sleep.
Unreal. That is unreal for someone to kill that many people and just walking around, probably working at a convenience store.
Yep. He's still out there probably.
Yeah, just you're a normal citizen. No big deal. So the ginormous plot hole in this movie.
Yeah, back to that. What do we got, Steve?
Okay. And Corey, I took a nap earlier and like I woke up, I snored myself awake somehow, and it dawned on me. I was like, wait a second, there's a fucking massive plot hole in this movie that would have unraveled the whole entire thing.
Uh-oh. Steve figured it out.
I figured it out. So the way that they found the butcher was from a receipt that they found at one of his sites, at one of his kill sites. And it was a receipt for him purchasing the ticket. Now, with that receipt, it would have shown what the ticket was for, like what was being purchased. So it was a Lady Raven ticket, and that's how they knew that. But it would have also said they could have done a few things with this. They could have taken the ticket and it has the location, everything like that. They could have gone to the location, looked at security cameras for that specific time, and maybe look at cameras and find out who he is. Easy. They could have done that, right? That's a little bit more advanced.
Mm-hmm.
The dumber way would be the ticket number is on the receipt, like the tickets that he purchased. So whether it's row 4, seat, whatever, more than likely on the receipt. They could have just went to that spot and be like, sir, can you come with us? Boom. Movie's done in 5 minutes.
I don't like that.
No, right?
You just ruined it.
I know.
Edit that out.
Edit it out? Okay.
I'm just kidding. Leave it.
So I don't know why it just dawned on me, but that receipt deal completely unravels the whole movie. It should have been something different, man. I couldn't tell you specifically what they could do, but the only way to explain it would say, like, if the majority of the receipt was ripped off and it just said Lady Raven, and then they go, okay, now we got to be there. But if we're talking like a full-blown receipt, regular receipt, it's going to have all that information on there. That's how you can fix that. Just like, don't give that information out.
Okay.
So that's my plot hole. Other than that, I thought this was a very fucking entertaining movie.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun. I was definitely not expecting what I saw.
Yeah.
And that's a good thing.
Yeah, actually, I was kind of interested in seeing it in theaters, but just never did it. I don't think it really... Actually, no, I think it did all right in theaters. I think it did pretty modest. Okay, so from what I gather, I did a little research on my end. It pulled in $76,500,703 worldwide. So not too shabby, right? And from what I'm reading too, an estimated budget, $30 million. So it's doubled its money back.
That's crazy.
Well, I mean, you got to think that's kind of like a logistical nightmare, that kind of movie, because you got to rent out a whole stadium, right? Whole stadium, thousands of extras, thousands.
No, you're right, but like that could have been a place like let's say the Canoe Arena in Manchester.
Yeah,
it doesn't get used that much anymore. Mm-hmm. So maybe they cut Shyamalan a ding dong deal. Ding dong. Maybe they cut Shyamalan a deal.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Maybe. So,
but do you think because that place was packed, like they had legitimate real people in that place. Do you think it was CGI, or did he just put out like a casting call for randos to come and sit in the seats to film a movie?
I think they probably did a lot of the WWE trick. So,
the hard camera stuff.
Yeah. So I think they had a lot of people, like a lot of extras, but they would do hard camera stuff. So that way they wouldn't have to hire 30,000 extras, right? Because that's insane. So they would do hard camera stuff, have thousands of people, and then like maybe in the background was darker. So it looked like there could have been people there, but you couldn't really see it that well. So if anything, maybe they could have did cardboard cutouts of fake people like in the background and whatever.
COVID time is over, dude.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, that's true.
We don't do that anymore.
No? Okay. So yeah, they probably just got maybe 1,000 extras or something like that and just filled in the spots where necessary and do hard cam. I think that's what they did. But yeah, there was a lot of people involved in this movie, like almost to the point where, do you remember the movie Rockstar?
That was a comedy, right?
It was something. No, you're thinking The Rocker. I'm talking the one with Mark Wahlberg. The one with Mark Wahlberg.
I typically don't watch Mark Wahlberg movies. That's another one that's typecast.
Yes. Yeah, he's typecast into some weird movies. All right, so Rockstar.
Mark Wahlberg?
Yeah, what's that?
Nothing. I'm just like I don't have a movie named Rockstar.
Rockstar. Oh, hold on.
His IMDb. I'm looking right now. Rockstar. I don't see anything named Rockstar on his IMDb.
Really? It's there. Yeah, Mark Wahlberg, Rockstar, 2001.
Rockstar.
Okay. So, anyways, in this movie, he was like in a tribute band for this band called Steel Dragon. So he was in a tribute band, and Steel Dragon lost their vocalist, so they had to get someone new, and they found him doing his tribute shit. So they hired him. For this movie, what they did was they had this fake band, Steel Dragon, playing one of those big arena rock shows that like had a bunch of other bands. So like they would go on, there'd be a shit ton of people there already, and it wasn't extras. It was just they were playing right before the fucking like the main bands, and that way they could get their crowd shot, to get their fake music in, and then the rest of the bands play. You know, it's possible too that they could have done something like this for this movie. because that's what it almost seems like with that many people. Because there's a lot of people involved in this.
Jennifer Aniston was in it. Okay.
Yeah, weird movie, but fun. It's a fun one. It's a one and watch. If it's on, like, sometimes I might go, yeah, I'll watch it, sure. But it's based like loosely on a true story. I can't remember which band it's loosely based on. I want to say Journey, because Journey did the same thing. Like, they found their new lead singer from a tribute band.
Yep, that's right.
Yes. So same deal. That's basically, it's like loosely based on that, but they did it like in an 80s hair metal type style. So I think they maybe did something like that, but I can only imagine what artists they would choose for that kind of venue. And this was pretty controlled too. So maybe it was just a bunch of extras. Maybe I'm overthinking it, but great movie. I love it. I honestly don't want to give a ton of it away because I was like really having a good time watching it. And if you're a fan of like serial killer stuff, check it out. It's fun. It's a good, fun movie to watch. The whole time, Corey, I was having a hard time taking notes because I'm like, enjoying myself watching this.
Yeah, this is definitely one of those movies where you're kind of glued to it the whole time.
I was, because you're trying to figure out what is he going to do next the whole time. And that's what kind of kept me glued to it, is like, how the hell is he going to get out of this situation? And he does. And he gets out of every single situation he's in because they just think he's like a normal guy.
Yeah, even the shit at the end when he's getting hauled away.
Yep.
Like you said, trying to figure out what he was going to do next. This motherfucker had a spoke from a bicycle in his pocket or in his sleeve.
Yeah.
How did he break off a spoke from a bicycle wheel in front of everyone? No one noticed.
No one noticed. It was so like, okay, let me check the bike real quick. And that's serial killers because the bike was laying on the ground and he just wanted to make sure it looked perfect for his perfect life. And somehow took a spoke out of that, hid it in his friggin' shirt, and used that to get out of the cuffs while he's in the car. So that leaves it wide open for a sequel. What kind of sequel? I don't know what they would do with that. I didn't expect a sequel to Unbreakable or Split, like, going into the Glass story. So it's not impossible for M. Night Shyamalan to do a sequel. So will there be a sequel for Trap? I mean, we can only speculate. It did fairly well. So I think it did enough to the point where it's like, okay, we could entertain this being a movie. But I think it would be a good idea to turn this into a series.
Yeah, they could, for sure. Same thing, like you said, with Glass and Unbreakable and stuff. But like, what was the last one that came out? It was Glass, right?
You talking for like the sequel, or are you talking for M. Night Shyamalan movies?
So the one where nobody knew that it was part of that universe. Was it either it was Glass or Split?
Split. So Split was its like own entity, and then the way it tied into like that whole universe was that one scene at the end where these girls are talking about this being similar to a situation that happened a while ago with some other person, and it pans to Bruce Willis, and he's like, his name was Glass or whatever, and it just tied the whole thing together.
That's just it. Like, he didn't promote it as it had anything to do with that movie. We thought it was a standalone, and then you have that one little snippet at the very end of the movie where it's like, hey, this is in the same universe.
Yeah,
that's some M. Night Shyamalan stuff right there.
Yeah, if anything, that was the twist, is that the whole thing is part of this universe, as opposed to the twist being like, actually, what was the twist in that movie? That has to be it.
I think that was the twist, that it was all intertwined, that whole universe.
I think that's got to be it. Other than that, James McAvoy fucking killed it in that movie. He was unreal.
Oh my God. Split, where he played, 7 characters?
Yeah, unreal. Absolutely unreal. That is range beyond range right there.
Speaking of James McAvoy, the petition to have him as the third co-host of this podcast is still out there. He, we want him. He doesn't want us.
Yeah, clearly not. He hasn't been getting back to us. I think we need to just make sure we're doing some posts. We'll do 30 Screams or James, like in that hashtag. Maybe he'll see it. Who knows? But you have to make sure you're mentioning James McAvoy in the hashtag 30 Screams or James.
Well, he does have Speak No Evil coming out soon, so we'll have to review that and get the hashtag going.
Yeah, let's get him on the podcast. We'll talk about it with him and see what his thought process for the movie was and how he went to fucking get prepared for it and shit. So obviously we reviewed the first one. We'll review the fucking remake because why not? We haven't done a remake review, have we?
No, this might be the first one.
Could be. Let's make this the first one. It only makes sense.
Yeah, because we love the first one so much and it only came out a year ago and they remade it already. So
Right. I would pitch Funny Games, the remake, but the thing is, it's a shot-for-shot remake.
Yeah, actually, I forgot about that. We did do a remake review.
No, we didn't.
Well, we didn't do the
Funny
original.
Games. What?
What am I think? I am thinking Funny Games. Is that the one where they were in the like a cabin? It was a family in the boathouse or something?
Yeah, it's that one.
Right. So it was a remake.
That's the original.
We watched
That's
the original. We didn't do the remake. The one
Right.
with what, Nicole Kidman or something?
No, that's Naomi Watts.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, Naomi Watts, Tim Roth, and a couple other people. I can't remember their names off the top of my head.
But you've seen the remake.
Yeah, and it is shot for shot identical
Okay.
to the original. And it's directed by the same person.
Okay. So he remade his own movie with different people.
Yeah. It's basically like, what's that movie we saw? Well, we reviewed it, like The Midnight Shift. It's the one with the police officer.
Oh, Night Shift. And
Night
then
Shift.
there's Malum? No.
Yes, you got it. Yes, Malum and Night Shift.
Okay.
So it's like the same director did both his movies and just redid the same movie over.
Okay.
It's kind of like that. But I think we can get into it. Corey, what did you think of Trap?
So this is going to get a 4 out of 5 for me. Again, as I said before, I think the PG rating kind of hurt it, but this is the best movie M. Night has made in a long time.
Mm-hmm.
This is more of a suspense film, and Josh Hartnett was somehow the perfect actor to play this character. Maybe there's an R-rated director's cut out there, I hope. But they did leave it wide open for a sequel, so hopefully that comes out soon as well. But yeah, I highly enjoyed this movie, and I didn't think I was going to like it as much as I did.
Yeah, same thing. I was interested in the idea because obviously we know my love for serial killer things, whether it's movies or documentaries or shit like that, right? So I was like, wow, that's a cool concept. I think I'd be interested in seeing that. And just never went to the theater to see it. Not that I didn't want to, just didn't happen. I don't think it did well enough to stay in there as long as like Deadpool and Wolverine. So it was in theaters for a little bit, boom, gone straight to digital. And that's where I saw it was, I streamed it. So that's how I saw it. I'm going to go with a 4 out of 5 on this one as well. Really liked this movie, and it constantly kept me guessing what he was going to do next. But if there was ever a movie that could have benefited from a rated R or for an R rating, it's this one. This one, like, go ahead. I know you're going to say something.
No, I was just going to say, like, horror movies typically need to be R rating because they're horror movies. Like, we used to blood and guts and torture and all that good shit. But somehow he made perfect use of a PG-13 rating, and he made this, as close to a bloody, violent horror movie as he could with the PG-13 rating. Yeah. And maybe we'll get lucky and there's a Justice League cut out there, but I doubt it. I think we're done with this until the sequel anyway. But hopefully he goes the R direction and we actually see the killing. Yeah. Because I want to see some fucking blood and guts, dude.
Yeah, let's make it happen.
I want to see Josh Hartnett putting somebody's head in a fry later in the next one,
Be fucking sick. Okay, so here's my theory, and let me know what you think about this. So the reason why he went PG-13, honestly, he does a lot of PG-13 movies, minus The Happening, which was rated R. But do you think he makes these PG-13 movies because it's going to hit a wider audience?
It's possible. I think that's a good theory, yeah.
So I would think that's the main reason why, is because obviously with R-rated films, you're limiting your visibility to like a younger audience, like teenagers, preteens who would be going in with a parent or something. So you're missing out on that whole demographic. But I don't feel like that's the demographic that would get this kind of movie anyways. So I feel like this is a movie more geared towards an adult audience. So having it in a rated R movie probably would have made more sense. But then again, would it have done as well as it did? We don't know. We can only speculate.
You're right. That's a really good theory because you probably had teenagers going to see this,
Yeah.
And
exactly.
Because of Josh Hartnett.
Yeah, exactly. Because of Josh Hartnett. But you don't see him doing a lot of stuff anymore. So it seems like he's starting to trickle back into Hollywood, which is really cool because I always liked him. He always did some fun stuff.
Yeah, man. Remember The Faculty? I still love those movies.
Yeah, Faculty was great. 30 Days of Night. Awesome. Probably one of my favorite vampire movies because it's so fucking violent, man. It's crazy. Great movie. Yeah, he was in that. I like 40 Days and 40 Nights. That was is a rom-com. I have a soft spot for rom-coms. Sometimes if I want to just fucking turn my brain off a little bit, I put on a rom-com. It's funny. It's the same bullshit over and over. I don't need to think about it. I just watch it.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that.
No, so because I think too much and having something to turn my brain off a little bit, fine by me. But I want to go back into this a little bit as well. So Josh Hartnett, played a great serial killer hiding behind the superficial smile. And he had that serial killer smile to him, like ear to ear grin.
Mm-hmm.
Like you wouldn't even think he was crazy. You just think he's a happy guy. Tons of tension in this. So I would vote this more along the lines of thriller than horror. But those lines are often blurred between the two because it could really go either way. Like some thrillers, people could be scared watching them. You and I were like, well, that's fun, but it's not a horror. And like vice versa. The escape from the cuffs at the end definitely could lead to a sequel, but I highly doubt it. As I mentioned, it pulled in $76 million worldwide, so not shabby at all based on the estimated budget of $30 million. So it really could go either way, whether there is a sequel or not. But I think maybe a direct-to-streaming deal could be a good idea if there is a sequel.
Yeah, watch Netflix grab it up or something, or maybe one of the, Shudder Screenbox type things.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. Shudder or Screenbox, that would be a ginormous get to get an exclusive M. Night Shyamalan movie. Mm-hmm. That would be crazy.
Yep.
Yeah, that would really set them two apart. Screenbox, if you can make it happen because that would be wild, but I don't know if that's going to happen. That's massive money. I mean, Netflix has that kind of deep pockets money, but great movie. 4 out of 5 from both of us. Definitely recommend checking it out. All right, everyone, be sure to like, follow, and subscribe on Facebook, X, Instagram, TikTok, Threads, and YouTube. Leave us a 5-star review on all podcast platforms so we can get some more exposure. Of course, tell your friends. Both our intro and outro music are courtesy of Andrew Scott Bell. Be sure to check out Andrew on all major streaming platforms. And if you see Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey on vinyl in the wild, be sure to pick it up. We're also part of the Shining Wizards Network. Be sure to visit shiningwizardsnetwork.com. They're an awesome podcast network ranging from wrestling to heavy metal, horror, all that good stuff. So check that out. Visit 30screamsorless.com for all previous episodes and transcripts to go with those episodes. Also, check out beardoctane.com for their whole line of grooming supplies. And be sure to use the code 30screams10 at checkout for 10% off your order. And if there's anything you want us to review, send an email to 30screamsorless@gmail.com or hit us up on social media. Use hashtag 30screamsorless. And also, we have some awesome merch for sale on our website, so definitely check that out. If you go to our website, at the very top, there's a shop link. Click that link, and you'll see all sorts of shirts, hats, mugs, things like that. If you buy it, it helps going towards our hosting costs. I'm Steve.
I'm Corey.
And thanks for listening to 30 Screams or Less. And don't forget to drink your beans.